Hello everyone, this is part 40 of What If Naruto Learned the Secret of Shadow Clone, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Early in the morning though it may be, Tsunade sat at her desk and considered the team before her. Kakashi looked as bored as ever, but he was at least on time for this. Sasuke and Sakura looked more than a little irritated at being woken so early, but they were mission ready all the same. Unfortunately, Tsunade could tell the whole team had an air of not wanting to be there. Something she would have to get to the bottom of later. Reports have it that the Sky Ninja have attacked Uzushio. Seeing all three members of Team 7 perk up at that, she nods grimly. Of course, word is Uzushio was able to ward off the attack, but now there's a race to find where the attack was launched from. So, because we are allies, we're going to lend a hand and help with the search. Time is of the essence here, so your currently mission is to head to the east where the Land of Sky is supposed to be located and provide support for Uzushio forces. If you can hunt and destroy the Sky threat yourselves, do so. At the minimum, providing information to Uzushio teams will be more than enough. Sasuke grunts. How far did Sky get? Anyone in Uzushio hurt? He was sure while Naruto was gone Uzu was on high alert at all times, but it never hurt to ask. It was to be his future home after all. Tsunade shook her head. Complete destruction of the Sky forces before they even reached the fog barrier. So no injuries or property destruction. And we need to keep it that way. The Hokage shivered a little, emotion not lost to the team. There's rumors Sky is attempting to resurrect their former glory. I can't fully describe how bad that could be for everyone. Sakura shifts her weight a bit as she crosses her arms around her middle. We might as well get moving. This is a mission for Uzu after all. Sighing and still feeling like something was amiss, Tsunade leaned forward to take the team in fully. Listen, I know things aren't great here right now. We're still on the rocks with Naruto and so much more. We can sit down and talk when you return, alright. I need you focused for now. Kakashi places hands on each of his students' shoulders. We'll keep that in mind, Tsunade-sama. We'll be on our way then. Getting a nod from the Hokage, Team 7 leaves quickly. Whether Uzu needed the help or not, they would be there. While Kakashi pauses for a moment to say goodbye to Shizune, Sasuke and Sakura continue on their own towards the stairs. Sakura grins over her shoulder at the pair. I'm sure the supply closet is free this early in the morning, sensei. Watching Shizune blush and stammer, Kakashi waved his student off. Go prepare for the mission and meet me at the main gate, you brat. Giggling as Sasuke shook his head and dragged her away, Sakura was all smiles finally as they started to descend the stairs. That's always fun. The sun was just starting to peek over the horizon through the stairwell windows. It was rare to be up this early and not be cuddled in bed. He's going to stick you with babysitting duty for eternity, just watch. Sakura sticks her tongue out at that. I'll have our own kids to worry about. Getting ahead of yourself there a little. Sakura punched him in the side and missed his pained grimace. No, asshole. You said it, you agreed. As many kids as I want. That's what you said. Grunting and rubbing his side, Sasuke nodded. Yeah, I did. Bad joke. He had to be careful now. His girlfriend and future wife was strong enough to break bones these days. Absolutely. Standing tall and eventually slinging an arm around Sakura's shoulders, Sasuke frowned and fell into thought. Does Uzushio even need our help with this? If they could turn away one attack so easily. Never hurts to lend a hand. Plus, hopefully by the time things are settled we can meet up with Naruto. She had plans after all, and while she wasn't ready to retire anytime soon, there was a lot she could do while pregnant. That would be nice. I owe him an ass kicking. He's a cage. I doubt you'll get very far. Remember last time? Sasuke did in fact remember last time. I'll make Hinata do it. Now you're being smart about it. Still, I've been meaning to bug him about if he can transport the clan compound to Uzu. If he can. Then we move. Sasuke was of the mind and was sure Sakura agreed that this might very well be the last mission they ran for Konoha. He was a clan head after all, he could pick up and leave whenever he wanted. Why stay with the village that sacrificed his clan? Near the top of the Uzumaki Tower and sheltered happily within a darkened room with thick curtains drawn, Naruto slowly returns to the waking world. It takes more than a little effort as his body sore in a pleasant but not painful way, and he gives thanks for blackout curtains as his eyes finally blink open. Senses stretching out to get a feel for things, he can tell that some of the others are already up and moving. He must have slept in a bit. Unable to move himself, he took in his surroundings. Tayuya was locked around his arm on his left and cuddled into his side, while on his right Kotohime did much the same. A much lighter weight of Kayuki took up his chest and seemed plenty comfortable with her choice of sleeping position. Naruto wasn't complaining about it. At least not yet. The bathroom door opens and light spills into the room, giving Naruto a full view of Hinata walking out while shrugging her jacket on over her chainmail and tugging free a long braid of hair. Good morning, Naruto. Her smirk was infectious and Naruto returned it. Morning. Where are you off to? She certainly looked good in his colors. Karen and Honoka have requested my help today. I was asked to let you know that they'll need your help this afternoon as well with the Sambi. Hinata winked at him. Don't worry, I'll come and keep you company later. What kind of company she was offering was crystal clear to him with the look currently in her eyes. Naruto chuckles quietly but nods. All right, I'll make sure to be available all day and to hunt him down when I get the call. Making several clones with a thought, one slides in next to Hinata to escort her properly. I'll be down in a bit. Watching her wave and giggle as one of the clones set about flirting with her, his door is opened and closed silently and his room is plunged back into darkness. Those clones better take care of his cage duties like they were supposed to. He wanted to give the girls plenty of attention for the next few days and didn't want to deal with unnecessary drama. Kayuki is the first to mumble and return to wakefulness, the rumbles of his chest finally disturbing her enough. Blinking the sleep away and hands sliding up and down his chest, the Spring Nation daimyo takes him in before smiling and leaning in to give him a sleepy kiss. Mornin' Naruto. Naruto returns her smile. Mornin' Kayuki. How you feeling? Now that you're back, wonderful. We missed you something fierce. Sitting up in his lap, Naruto could take in the beginnings of the bump showing on her tummy. How are you? Is everything okay? Giggling, Kayuki shook her head. Don't worry so much. Everything is going fine and Karen checks on us often enough. Rubbing her stomach lightly, Kayuki gained a small smirk. You're welcome to check out every inch of me, if you have the time. Mentally she knew she needed to get up. She had work to do today. Rolling his eyes and gesturing to his locked arms, Naruto does at least drink in her form in the dim light. I'd love to, but we have a day to start. Boring. Rolling her eyes, they both are startled as Kotohime reaches up and slaps Kayuki on the behind. Hey. Dragging herself up and rubbing her eyes, she allows the sheets to pull off her frame easily. You're both so loud. Grumbling and knowing her hair is a mess, she finally steadies herself with a hand on Naruto's chest. Ugh. Today is going to be busy. Kayuki shrugs and draws some of Naruto's attention. Isn't an airship inbound from Spring? Kotohime nods. Yes, two are in fact. One bound for here while the other for the fortress. The one coming here will be continuing on for Suna. News was that Suna completed landing pads and regular goods transports were to begin. Spring crops for Suna minerals and metals. Kayuki sighs and leans in for a quick kiss, shimmying her way off of the bed and sighing. Can we catch up for lunch later? She blushes a bit as Naruto nods. Then, till later my lord. Disappearing into the bathroom to get ready for the day, Kayuki mentally switches gears and thinks of the day ahead of her. Kotohime shakes her head as Naruto watches Kayuki leave and pinches his nose. You can admire the view later. Squeaking as he pulls her back into him, she enjoys his warmth freely. I have nothing but amazing views right now. Always best to lay the flattery on thick. HMM, get me, double pregnant, HMM. Mumbling in her sleep, Tayuya shifts a bit as Kotohime and Naruto watch her before chuckling softly together. Laying her head on his chest, Kotohime watches him quietly. Do you have an idea of what to do with today? Besides spend time with all of you and catch up on everything I missed. No, I should tour the ninja fortress and see how the Zozansho are settling in. Then maybe check on the Yuki clan. Naruto figured both clan had had plenty of time to settle in and make themselves at home by now. Best to visit them and make a show that he hadn't forgotten about them. Kotohime nods. idling, running a finger up and down his chest. I'd like to stay by your side today. If you don't mind. Kotohime points towards Tayuya. I'm sure she would like much the same. Plus maybe he would give in to her food cravings. Still early, she had a desire for deep-fried mochi. You know I don't have a problem with that. Stick with me all you like. Naruto was thoroughly enjoying her soft form pressed against his and admitted that he missed this. Home, family, love, whipped cream, and the debauchery. He couldn't lie and say he didn't miss that. Watching as Tayuya began to stir in earnest, Kotohime and Naruto were greeted to a suddenly wide-awake Tayuya. Eyes wide and unblinking as she stared at Naruto's face for a long minute. Morning Tayuya. Hugging him tightly, Tayuya took a deep breath of his scent. It wasn't a dream. You're really back. Yup. That month sure went by fast, didn't it? Digging a knuckle into his ribs, Tayuya shook her head. Felt like the longest month of my life. It sucked. Well, I'm home now, and I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. Shuffling herself into his lap, Tayuya places both of her hands on his shoulders to hold him down. That a promise? Absolutely. Good. Tayuya shared a look with Kotohime before both women nodded to each other. Then I think you have some more work to do. Kotohime leans in as well, breath hot along his ear. You have a month's worth of husband duties to catch up on. Thinking quickly, Naruto flipped himself and Tayuya over, pinning her to the bed by her wrists with a smirk. Guess I better get started on that then, huh? His grin increased as strong legs wrapped around his waist. Kotohime caressed his back as Tayuya blushed heavily. You better, we have a lot to do today. Coming from the bathroom fully clothed and ready for a new day, Kyuki takes a moment to watch the scene on the bed before shaking her head and heading for the door. I better get my own helping later. Hearing nothing but giggles in answer, the daimyo smiled as she left and started down the hall. Their husband had returned home. All was right with the world. Later in the morning and actually geared up for work, Naruto is currently exploring the ninja fortress with Tayuya and Kotohime. Both women are keeping close, occasionally latching onto his arms, and Naruto lets them be. He had been gone for a full month and he certainly wasn't going to complain about the extra attention. Ahead of them, Karen is actually leading this little tour of the day. He was surprised by her new look. The high and tight bun complemented her well, he thought. We decided to set up the radio room and communication hub here as it is a more protected area. This also now includes logistics for ninja affairs, so soon the ninja floor within the Uzumaki Tower will be for lower level missions only. A second cage office is being built as well here, for more serious matters. Think a war room versus an everyday office. Naruto nods at that. It's great to see how much progress has been made without me here. Our people are as motivated as ever. Looking around at the myriad of faces flowing around them, even some younger children, Naruto wonders for a bit. I'm guessing the Ninja Academy has moved here. Karen nods. Yes, moved to the lower levels and deeper within the fortress. We're working towards a solid graduation standard that somewhat follows Konoha's metric. But we've decided all our genin should at least be able to wall and water walk before leaving the academy. We're sticking with the basic genin level jutsu as criteria, but allowing for exceptions for those that excel in other ways. Examples like if they have above average seal knowledge or impressive physical abilities. The Zouzensho have also offered to instead start a naval academy for those who don't make it as ninja. Smart thinking. Just because someone can't be a ninja doesn't mean they aren't valuable as a person. Everyone is capable of something. Getting nods from the others, they make their way out of their hallway and into the Great Cove. Already Naruto beams as he takes in the massive concrete construction of the secluded port and shipyard. Whistling, he has his hands on his hips as he takes it all in. I really did think it was going to be huge. But seeing it for the first time. Karen nods as she turns back to him and adjusts her glasses. It is not 100% complete, but we're getting there. 3 shipyard bays are complete with 2 more scheduled. A ship is already under construction while the only mostly intact sky carrier was towed in for salvaging. The Zouzensho are still out trawling the ocean floor for the other ship's remains. Waste not, want not. Kotohime uttered as they started along the right wall, keeping out of the flow of main traffic as construction crews and supplies moved in a chaotic dance. Within the very rock wall of the cavern they could see buildings being carved out and rock being moved and used in other areas of construction. While some facilities were up and running, others were bare bones at best. Naruto takes in the cranes, overhead lights, shipping containers and heavy machinery and the general just loudness of this port with an odd feeling. Having spent so much time recently on his nature chakra training, this industrial area was putting him off a bit. But still, it was good to see his people doing what they loved. For the Zouzensho that seemed to be everything related to shipbuilding. They're really motivated. Have they built their own living quarters here yet? Karen nods. Yes, the Zouzensho clan actually lives in a facility that they've dug out that's behind the shipyards. They have access to the surface through carefully managed hallways and further living quarters, but they plan on mainly living closer to the yards. They don't want to compromise security here. Karen looks back at him as they walk along. They were very determined to have their own living space. Naruto nods. Again, good thinking. Waving to a few workers who address him by name and some bowing, the group continues on as they close in on the ship under construction. Allowed to enter the construction site unopposed, they take in the nearly 300-meter-long steel construct that right now included a keel and some lower decks and siding. Naruto let another whistle out. Now that's impressive. What type of ship are they building? He appraised the scaffolding-covered steel frame being erected and wondered at the possibilities. Karen looked around a bit, waving to a few workers who she knew as she searched for Su Yoshi or one of his subordinates. I'm not entirely sure, Su Yoshi said it would be a surprise. And it will be a grand one at that. A boisterous laugh had them all turning their heads as flanked by a dark-skinned woman of average height in construction clothes but bearing a clipboard and a muscular frame, and a dull-looking man even shorter than Karen but probably wider than he was tall. Su Yoshi held out a weathered hand to Naruto. Good to see you, Lord Uzumaki. I hope your trip went well. Tipped off by his crew, Su Yoshi had sighted the Uzumaki ground and had decided to come to them himself. Shaking the older man's hand firmly, Naruto grins and nods. Well enough. I see you've settled in easily. I'm glad for that. Everyone has been more than accommodating and have even pitched in. Least we could do was give it our all. Looking to his left and right, Su Yoshi snapped his fingers and grunted. Right. Bad manners. This here is Celia and Jax. Both substitute as my second in command, though Jax handles the crew and Celia handles engineering. Celia has her hands on her hips as she shifts from side to side, more like the old codger gives me all the hard stuff while he buggers off. Grey t-shirt and overalls straining against both strong arms and a massive chest, Naruto considered that if she had access to chakra she'd be a real monster on the battlefield. Nice to meet ya. Jax grunts and nods, one hand fidgeting with a heavy-looking tool belt and the other scrubbing through thin brown hair. Nice to meet you, Lord Uzumaki. Heard some scary stuff about ya. Naruto's eyes trailed to Karen, who had the decency to blush as she looked away. I'm sure it's been exaggerated for effect. Just what had his girls been telling people? So you didn't blow up a Bijuu? Twitching, Naruto sighed. No, I did that. And you didn't take on a Sannin and win? Yeah, I did that too. Did you really threaten to blow up Konoha, the strongest village in the nations? Quote. I might have. He really had been on one before, hadn't he? Naruto considered that maybe he was prone to overdoing things. Maybe. Possible. You have no self-control. Kurama chuckled as Naruto mentally gave him the finger. I have plenty. Like a toddler. Celia whistled low as Su Yoshi cuffed Jax on the back of the head. Sigh, you sound like a real badass. Here she winked at him with a smirk. Wanna trade some stories over a drink later? Clipboard tapping against a thick thigh, she didn't miss the frown that grew on the three opposing women's faces. Su Yoshi grumbled and waved that idea away. I'm sure Lord Uzumaki has a busy schedule. Speaking of, so, what's the nature of the visit today? Naruto turned to look back towards the dry dock and the ship slowly coming to shape there while missing the death glare. Tayuya sent the grinning Celia, just checking in and curious was all. I wanted to make sure you didn't need anything and I'm now curious about the ship. Well, a small hint. We're considering a new type of battleship. But, you'll have to wait to see it. Naruto nods as he can see the pride on Su Yoshi's face. I look forward to it. Though I am curious why you decided to go with a battleship first. Well, the land of sky is to blame for that. Su Yoshi could see everyone looking his way and pointed at the wreckage of the carrier on the other side of this dry dock and settled in the next. Sure, Azushio can protect its waters. But what happens if multiple nations attack at once? Plus, We're eventually going to have a surplus of manpower and normal ships help with all of that. A state-sponsored ship able to protect our shipping lanes and borders is always a good idea. Su Yoshi turned firm eyes to Naruto. Sometimes force is needed to defend ourselves. Hands on his hips, Naruto does agree with the sentiment. So long as the plan is for defending ourselves, I'm all for it. Plus I like the plan to give power to normal people without chakra. Everyone should be able to defend themselves and contribute to protect their country. Great to hear we're on the same page. Laughing again while throwing his head back, Su Yoshi eventually settled down to turn determined eyes on the captured wreck. I'll admit, the idea of a carrier is giving me ideas, but I'm not sure if it'll go anywhere just yet. Celia nudged him with her clipboard. Sure you wanna bring that up, boss? Not yet, but, well, Lord Uzumaki is trustworthy. The older shipbuilder winked at Naruto. Long and short of it, I wanna adapt airplanes for naval ship use. Karen's eyes were suddenly wide, but I thought airplanes were still too flimsy to use in such a way. That's why we stick to airships and the like. Su Yoshi grinned and held a finger to his lips. It's a secret, but we've got a few ideas. Watching Karen bounce on her toes with a smile, Naruto shook his head. I look forward to it. Next to him, Kotohime's finger raised to her ear for a moment and drew everyone's attention. A few nods before she turned to look at Naruto's himself. Looks like Honoka is ready for you. Humming, Naruto turns to Su Yoshi and nods his head. That's my cue to get out of your way. I've got more checking up to do. Su Yoshi waves a hand to the shipyard. Don't be a stranger. Stop by whenever you want. I hear you're a good hand at construction. Naruto grins as he and the girls turn to leave. I'll swing by to lend a few hands sometime soon. Saying their farewells, Naruto and the girls take their leave. Behind them, Celia punches Su Yoshi in the shoulder. Really? Had to block me like that? He's too young for you, woman. Go hunt someone else. He didn't miss the murderous aura from Lord Uzumaki's wives either. No, his clan did not need that kind of drama. Bah, he looks sturdy enough. And by the rumors had the stamina to match. Celia was more than interested. Jax turned to get back to his station. I don't think even a steel keel is sturdy enough for you. Come back here and say that to my face. Su Yoshi watched them go with a sigh and considered maybe giving them their own team soon. Maybe it would mellow them out. Blazing sun and hot winds, Suna was one of those villages that screamed endurance and strength of will. And while the populace was happy with the direction their village was taking and the alliance their cage had brokered with Uzushio, said Kazekage grumbled as he read over the letter he had just received. Temari and Kankuro kept him company in their respective places within his office as he tried and failed not to take the Naruto approach. Explosions were for enemies, the council was not an enemy. Well, his council wasn't at the least. Maybe Naruto would be willing to take a mission to blow them apart. Mumbling to himself, he isn't quiet enough to escape his older sister's notice. You know, I've been meaning to mention, but it sure looks like that Matsuri girl is hounding after you. You ever going to give her some type of answer? Temari was grinning as her brother grumbled even more under his breath. Score one for her as she lazed on the couch with one hand behind her head. I know she is, but finding love isn't a priority right now. Nor would it reduce his stress levels at all. Temari scoffed and balanced a kunai on her fingertip. Maybe it should be. Holding up and waving the letter from the council, Gaara's eyes locked onto hers. Speaking of finding love, the council thinks it would be in the village's best interests to seek out a political marriage for you, dear sister. Toss it. I only have one man on my mind. More like one part of him at least. Kankuro lazily dodged the kunai that speared by his head and lodged itself in the wall behind him as he worked on his latest puppet. A recreation of Sasori's Hiroko puppet. Just saying. You've got a lot of competition there. Taking the kunai from the wall, it was added to a launcher assembly in the puppet's mouth. I'll get there. The best fruit sometimes takes a little time to ripen. Gaara rolled his eyes as he dropped the letter to his cluttered desk. We're talking political points here. And who do we know is a big mover and shaker right now in the political sphere? Temari hummed at that for a bit before snapping her fingers. You know what, maybe the council isn't so bad. When do we call him? Gaara and Kankuro sighing in unison, the cage relaxed back in his chair and wished in a lot of ways he could avoid this. This is a political marriage proposal. Do you really want that? Doesn't it feel like cheating? Temari was already mentally making plans. I wonder what sort of honeymoon we'll have. Should I start stocking up on supplies? Naruto has had so much practice, I'm sure he'll wear me out quickly. I've got to even up the field a bit, mind falling into plans and plots. She misses her brothers, both shivering. Kankuro does his best to tune her out. She's in her own little world now. I could deny it on principle. Do you really want to deal with an angry Temari? Gaara shuddered again. No. Not at all, no. He remembered what she did to Kankuro when he suggested in front of Naruto that she might be interested in some other guy. He still didn't want to figure out why Kankuro had burned his Karasu puppet and salted the ashes before burying him somewhere deep in the desert. Before all that, now that the airship landing pads have been built, we should be seeing some regular shipments between our nations from here on. Hopefully the Uzumaki come and visit so we can discuss things. Temari hears the words including Uzumaki and visit and springs to her feet. I need to prepare. I need a new battle dress and maybe I could polish up my battle fan. Oh, and new undies. I'm off. And then she was gone, door swinging back and forth on its hinges and leaving Gaara and Kankuro alone. Kankuro sighs. There's a reason every dude in Suna is terrified of her, and it has nothing to do with you. Poor Karasu. Gaara nods slowly as he sets the council letter aside and gets back to his more normal work. She's excited. Naruto is probably one of the few men she's met that isn't afraid of her at all. To him, she's completely normal. Does that say more about her or his mental state? Anyone who considers Temari normal is broken. Both brothers nodded once in unison as honestly in their opinion, that was pretty normal for Naruto. B. Standing among the somewhat calm sea between the Izu Islands, Naruto has joined Honoka and Karen while Hinata watches on from a ferry boat they had used to carry him out this way. Sighing and stretching this way and that, Naruto watches as Honoka explains the plan as her chakra chain shifts and grinds at her back to hold the sealing scroll. So, we're going to release the Sambi and hopefully get the Bijuu to relax and not destroy our home. If we can get it to relax and somehow explain that we're only giving the big guy a safe place to live away from people, that'd be a job well done. Naruto nods and grins as his training was about to show its benefits. Got it. Just leave it to me. Hopefully things went well. He'd hate to have to seal the big guy away permanently. Karen can't help but smirk as she and Honoka start to spread out, ready to produce a new dome of chakra chains just in case. Leave it to you, huh? Glad to see you're as confident as ever. Honoka winks at him. Maybe you could show us later how much of a leader you are. Can we focus, ladies? I'll give ya a reward when this is over. Honoka turned and winked at Karen, who gave her a thumbs up. We've worked hard, so we hope the reward is suitable. Of course, girls. Now, let's get to it. Naruto crosses his arms as his Sage mode takes over, eyes shifting into his Rinnegan with new frog pupils with ease. Inside, Kurama grunts. Think you'll need me for this? Your power? Probably not, but you wanna have a chat with the big guy when we connect. Could be fun. On it. Exchanging a nod with Karen, who already has a dozen chains buried in the water, Honoka's own chain hefts the large scroll into the air before throwing it with all her might. Free of her chakra, it takes all of a few seconds for cracks to begin to form along its surface and the paper to smoke and smolder. As it hit the water 100 meters from them, there was an explosion of water and steam and they were hit with a roar as the Sambi reforms in front of them. Appearing to shake off its confusion after appearing in a completely different ocean, the Sambi's eyes land on the Uzumaki girls who wave at it casually. Hey there, big guy. Honoka held up a hand in greeting and a bright smile on her face. Karen grins. No hard feelings, right? The roar that answers them and blows hot humid breath and ocean water in their faces answers that question quickly. Stupid question, yeah. Jumping in a spray of water himself, Naruto quickly attaches himself to the Sambi's head with his hand planted on its forehead as he hung down so he could grin into one of its massive eyes. Hey there, buddy, let's chat. Sinking into his mindscape and connecting with the other Bijuu, Naruto and Kurama are met with the mental approximation of the Sambi, who looked around with confusion. What? Kurama grinned. Hello there, little brother. Outside, Honoka and Karen heaved a sigh of relief as the Sambi seemed to settle, the giant turtle sinking to its belly in the water as its tail sank below the waves. Not feeling like her chains were needed, Karen relaxed and dispelled them as Honoka walked to join her on the slowly calming ocean water. Think it'll work out. Honoka nodded. It's Naruto. Point. In his mental landscape that was much brighter and cleaner, Naruto watched as Kurama sat on his haunches with his tail swaying behind him. Isabu, it's good to see you again. Caught off guard, Isabu looked between Kurama and Naruto. Kurama, what is this? This. Kurama dramatically waved both of his hands out to motion to the large space, is the form Naruto's soul has taken. Some light, a little dark, but a good place in the end. No, I mean, Isabu finally relaxed and sat a bit. I mean you aren't screaming about fire and brimstone and killing everyone in sight. Grumbling about know-it-all brothers, Kurama watched as Naruto strode forward to hold a hand in the air. Hey there. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, current leader of the Uzumaki clan and Azushio. I've got an offer for ya, if ya don't mind listening to me for a bit. Best to be polite and courteous when facing off against massive chakra beasts that could eat you. Lowering his head to look at Naruto directly, Isabu maintained eye contact with him for some time before nodding slowly. I accept. Naruto grins. Okay, so. I was thinking we could. I said I accept. Kurama sighed and laid down himself. Lazy bastard. Leave it to Isabu to get right to the heart of the matter. Naruto scratched his head while confusion cluttered his mind. You haven't even heard what I have to say though. Isabu closed his eyes as he nodded. You really are young, aren't you? Hey. A tail came up to wave in the air, the tip of which pointed at Naruto. This is the manifestation of your soul, yes. So anyone within it is touching your very essence, correct? Well, yeah, that's how me and Kurama can bond so closely. Isabu's tail returned to a resting position behind him, and now I'm here. I felt you heart the very second you pulled me in here. I know the peace you hope for. I know you worries, fears, dreams. I know you want to provide a safe place for me to live without making me fight. A light grumble filled the air as Isabu settled himself in. I'm more than content with that. I'll happily rest here and maybe defend my new home if it means I'll be left alone to sleep all I want. Kurama couldn't help but snipe at his fellow Bijuu. You're still just a big lazy turtle. Combat is your thing. Sleeping is mine. Naruto looked up to Kurama and eventually shrugged. Well, I guess we're done here. Chuckling, Isabu reached forward with a tail and tapped a surprised Naruto in the head and nearly pushed him over. A small gift. I hope your dream, your real dream, comes true. Feeling something shift deep inside of him, Naruto eventually nods. Thanks. And then he was opening his eyes, Isabu blinking slowly before Naruto jumps off of the Great Bijuu's head and returned to Honoka's and Karen's side. All three watched the Great Bijuu sink below the waves without a protest, while Naruto watched on in silence. Isabu bows his head once, before soon he's gone and the waters begin to calm. Karen is the first to tap his shoulder. Do we want to know what you had to promise it in order to calm it down? Naruto shook his head. Isabu didn't ask for anything actually beyond being left alone. They'll help out if something happens though. Honoka looked at the spot where the Bijuu used to be. How nice. They seem to be pretty nice, yeah, just lazy. Behind them Hinata is piloting the boat to their sides, waving with a bright smile on her face. Coming to a stop and watching the three come on board with a quick jump, Hinata greets them. Looks like everything went well. Naruto takes her in, seeing his old jacket folded over the captain's chair with her chain mail, leaving her in a bright orange tube top. Yeah, we're good to go from here. We just need to mark this area as Isabu's space so no one disturbs him. Hinata starts back for the wheelhouse. Okay, I'll get on the radio and let them know now. Turning away with a smile, should we head back to the main island? Naruto shakes his head as he rests against the side rails and looks out over the relatively calm waters. Nah. Let's go find the Yuki clan. I'd like to check on them. Behind him as he looks out on the ocean, someone taps his shoulder. Looking back, he has to fight the nosebleed that nearly erupts. Honoka is already stripped down to a blue and intricately designed bikini while Karen is in the process of the same though hers is red. You know, you did promise you'd spend some time with us. I thought, that meant lunch, wander the city, something like a date. Honoka was already close, trailing a finger down his chest. Oh, so some fun under the sun can't be a date. Something tells me you already have something else in mind. Karen was looking at him from over Honoka's shoulder. Someone's feeling very determined now that Kotohime Kyuki and now Taiya are all pregnant. And while I still feel too young, someone else. Honoka already had him by the shoulders, an odd gleam in her eyes as her long hair swayed in the wind. You know what I want. Hinata called out from the wheelhouse, it's going to be at least half an hour before we reach the island where the Yuki clan lives. So we have time. Karen is already walking her way, wanna switch? She ignored Honoka as she roared and Naruto's jacket slapped onto the deck. Hinata shook her head, not yet. I don't mind waiting until everyone else has worked it out of their systems. Though, as giggles began to fill the air, it was becoming a harder thing. Well, maybe. Karen leaned against the doorway and enjoyed the mixture of hot sun and cold water spray on her skin. It's nice to have him home, isn't it? I did miss the chaos. Naruto was watching them both and pointed towards them. Karen, come here. Coming. Giggling and trailing a hand down Hinata's arm, Karen winked at her, master calls. Hinata blushed as Karen left while mentally finalizing her own ideas. It'd be a few days yet before everyone else finally had their fill most likely. And then, well, who knew? Much as they had hoped, Team 7 had a relatively easy time of finding not only the land of sky, but the ruins in which a massive amount of chakra could be felt. It being the only reason they had found the ruins so easily, the team was looking over the massive expanse of stone and steel with a bit of worry. Sakura was the first to bring it up, feels like something foul. Like Gaara back when he was all crazy. Sasuke nods, yeah, it's definitely evil feeling. Kakashi nods and stands from their hiding spot among some tree cover. We haven't seen any teams from Izu, so it's our job to head in and see what we can find. Leading the way and making their way inside, Team 7 could already tell something was up with this place. While they could sense people, there weren't many. Not enough at least. But there was a flurry of activity as the team kept to the shadows and eventually made their way to a hallway out of the way. Kakashi points to both of them, we're going to split up. Recon, keep it quiet, and flare your chakra if you find yourself in trouble. Getting nods from both of his students, Kakashi gave them a thumbs up, meet back here in 10 minutes. And then he was gone, leaving Sakura to grin towards Sasuke. Wanna take bets one who finds trouble first? Sasuke shook his head as he took in the worn stone and concrete around him, no bet. Somehow it'll be me. Sakura kissed his cheek quickly before running off, sure thing Naruto 2.0. And then she too was gone around a corner, leaving Sasuke to wander off on his own exploration journey. Left with only one path to go, Sasuke made his way while keeping to the shadows and ceilings of the cooled hallways of what he was beginning to think was less a ruin and possible a running facility. Over time, however, with no hallway branches in his path, he realized this hallway was both curving and heading down to where he wasn't sure, but he was ready to find out. Having shuffled into a seated position against the back wall, Amaru curls into a ball and hugs her knees as she reflects on what she could possibly do now. Her cell was Spartan, a stone slab for a bed and a hole in the floor as a bathroom, but nothing else besides the wall-length bars that held her inside. She considered what she would do if she saw Shino again and her heart twisted painfully. She was a tool to him, nothing more she had learned, and with that thought she felt even more drained than before. Staring at a spot just outside her cell, trying to will the bars to fade away with her mind, it takes her a moment to realize there's a shadow of a person there. Looking up and presenting her tear-streaked face to the intruder, she finds a man wearing black ninja attire with a white jacket and what looks like a sword on his hip. Shaggy black hair pulled back into a ponytail and dark eyes. Her only feeling that this might not be real was that he was on the ceiling. I've finally gone insane. Sasuke snorted but didn't leave his perch, not likely. Though I might not be the best judge. Looking up and down the hallway and not seeing anyone coming, he drops without a sound to stand before the auburn-haired girl. Why you locked up? Don't you know? This is the fate of all Uzumaki one day. Burying her face into her knees, she closes in on herself tightly. I trusted him, loved him, also he could use me and throw me away. Muffled though her voice was, Sasuke heard her all the same and sighed. Great, some new asshole abusing Naruto's clan. That wouldn't do. Uzumaki ha. Well, I know the current head of your clan, I'm sure he'd love to meet you. Twitching, Amaru looked back up towards Sasuke, who are you? Why should I trust what you say? At that Sasuke shrugged, not saying you should or shouldn't. Ultimately, we all have to make up our own minds about the world around us. But, my brother made a promise to help me with my dream, and I promised to help him with his. If you're really an Uzumaki, then that means I'm going to help you and return you home, to your family. Already drawing his blade, he wonders if this counts as part of the mission. Naruto wouldn't stand for this, so neither will I. Blinking as the man before her sliced the bars to her cell apart like paper, he resheathes his weapon and two stride bring him before her. You're just going to use me as well. Take the last bit of me and ground it into dust. Feeling her body begin to sag, Amaru starts to let go of herself. I don't care. Do what you want. Rolling his eyes and hoping he was never this dramatic in his life, he reached forward and thumps her in the forehead with a finger flick. Hearing her hiss in pain, he grins, look. I wanna save you, but I'm not gonna put up with this defeatist mindset. Something bad happened, I get it. But it's not over yet. He pokes her a bit more gently in the sternum as she rubs her forehead and glares at him. I don't have time to help you put your heart back together. Not now. But, after we get out of here, if you want some help, I'll be around. Why? Finally some emotion from her, Amaru slaps his hand away and ignores the smirk on his face. Why help me at all? Why pretend? Because I promised a friend. And you're a weakling in need. Sasuke shrugged at the cute frown on her face. I'm strong. It's the duty of the strong to protect the weak. And I'm doing that because I want to. So, here he kneeled down, turning away from her and presenting his back. Take a small step yourself, and I'll get you out of here. Amaru blinked at the broad back before her. Did her silent prayer really come true? Was someone here to save her? Of course, it could be another trick or a trap. But he wasn't wrong. She had to decide. Certainly staying in this cell wasn't going to get her anywhere. With a grunt, she stood up enough that her weak legs collapsed and laid her on his back. He was quick to scoop her up, hands on her thighs as he stood and started to walk down the hall towards a destination only he knew. I'll probably regret this. Her words were whispered, but right in Sasuke's ear he had no problem hearing her still. Wanna tell me about it? Looking back at her and grinning some more, Sasuke gives her a minute before she nods and begins to explain. Following after her teacher, her feelings going from admiration to something close to love. Her village being attacked and feeling despair, and eventually being led here where Shino showed her the fruits of his labors. How he was the one behind everything, how he only used her to revive some ancient weapon. And now, thrown away, he was going to bring fire and death to the world to revive the former glory of the land of sky. In the end, the attack on Azushio was nothing. Just something to stall for time and keep Kumo away from this place. Amaru had only barely overheard his plans before passing out last night. Not that she could do anything about it. These ruins were once a great flying fortress that ruled over the skies themselves. Sasuke nods at the information and grunts. You Uzumaki really do have both the best and worst luck imaginable. Feeling Sakura's chakra somewhere ahead, he picks up his pace slightly while keeping to the shadows of the dimly lit place. The hallway has opened up into a large chamber with many doors and offshoot hallways, but Sasuke trusts his senses to guide him. Above them along high walls are thin windows that let in small amounts of light, and Sasuke judges that it's just before noon. I'm Sasuke by the way. Sasuke Uchiha. Amaru Uzumaki I guess. She pauses as her arms finally come up to wrap around his neck from her place on his back. Can you tell me about yourself? Why you're really sticking your neck out for me? There had to be more to it than just a promise to a friend. Amaru sure. Sasuke thinks about his life till now, before shrugging and deciding that Angstfest didn't need a full telling. I was like you in that cell once. Stuck in a past that wouldn't return, waiting for something to happen. Though my thoughts were centered around more of a rage that never left me. But, someone dragged me out of it. Naruto, your clan head. Chuckling Sasuke lets a more real smile tug at his lips. He's a hard-headed asshole and an idiot. But determined and a good man all the same. Sasuke chuckles some more as he takes a deep calming breath as he walks. He decided one day he wanted to learn about his clan, find more of them, and put his family back together. And he did it, rebuild his home, the works. Sobering up, he focused ahead as he chose a new path and walked down a hallway lined with thin windows that looked at nothing but dirt. Some part of me wants to channel even a little bit of that energy in my own life. I want to change my fate. My clan's fate. Break the cycle, you know. Looking back, he gives her a confident smirk that sends her heart racing. So if I can, I'm going to save you. Because I think you're worth it. So don't give in to those dark thoughts. Your ordeal is over. Looking away to hide her blush as Sasuke goes back to looking ahead, Amaru leans against his back more fully. I'm worth it, huh? Well, thank you, Sasuke Uchiha. Mentally she wishes she could have some of that strength of will. To form a goal and follow through no matter what. Could she be that way one day? Could she be like this dark and mysterious Uchiha? Don't worry. I'll make sure you get out of this alive and well. In the end, Sasuke was sure either he or Sakura had an emergency Hiraishin tag. So they could call Naruto and get her out of here. Hopefully at least. My team is just ahead. Sakura is a pink-haired girl and super strong, and a healer. So she'll probably snag you from me right away when we see her. And hopefully not assume the worst. He didn't need a concussion today. Coming around a corner and headed up a long flight of stairs, they exit out into another chamber, though not as large as the one previous. Round and having 5 other hallways besides the one he left, he was suddenly face to face with Sakura, who took one look at him and the girl looking at her over Sasuke's shoulder and snorted. Sasuke wouldn't admit to pouting, but he easily let Sakura take the girl from his back without protest. Whatever you're thinking, stuff it. Assuring the girl she was a friend, Sakura ran glowing green hands over her body, sure thing Naruto 2.0. Sakura winked at the girl she had settled down on the ground and looked up to Sasuke. So, who is she? Amaru Uzumaki, betrayed and used by some Land of Sky leader who wants to relive the glory days or some usual nonsense. Sasuke crossed his arms and kept watch as Sakura worked. Apparently these ruins are actually a great flying fortress. Sounds like something someone we know would have an easy time tearing apart. Sakura winks at Amaru and finishes her work. Helping the girl into a seated position, Sakura turns to look at Sasuke. We should call Naruto. Probably yeah. Feeling chakra signatures approaching, Sasuke runs a hand along the hilt of his weapon. Company. Stow your weapon Uchiha, there are only friends here. From another hallway and veins bulging, Neji and his team show themselves. Long time. Relaxing, Sasuke nods to the group. Yeah, good to see you too. Guessing you're here for all this craziness yourselves. Neji nods while behind him Kana and Jin lean against a wall and wait for orders, watching the other exits much as Sasuke had been. Yes. We have been tracking the Land of Sky here, but when I spotted you I decided we should group up. Is Konoha after something here? Snorting and shaking his head, Sasuke accepts Amaru from Sakura who answers for them. Konoha can get stuffed. We heard Azushio had been attacked and decided to lend a hand. Plus, we need to have a chat with Naruto. Jin frowned, very familiar with Lord Uzumaki there. Whoa, pausing as Neji held up a hand, he watched his leader shake his head quietly. This is Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha, Lord Naruto's former teammates and still very close friends. Neji quirked an eyebrow at Sakura, or is it Sakura Uchiha finally? Blushing the medic brawler shook her head. No, not yet at least. Sasuke sighed and motioned a hand around them. Have any good information on this place? Neji shakes his head. Very few remaining Sky Ninja are here, barely 3 squads. But there's a chamber not far from here that is radiating massive amounts of energy. Kakashi is nearly there. We should meet up with him then. Sasuke turned to Amaru. Can you walk? Not wanting to look weak in front of all these people, Amaru nodded but kept her eyes on him. Yes. Good. Stick with Sakura, things might go sideways. Sakura grunted. Might. Things always go sideways with us. Curse of Team 7. Neji chuckled as he motioned for his team to follow and they lead the way for Team 7 and Amaru. Maybe that's why Lord Naruto's luck is the way it is. Sakura and Sasuke both shuddered. Oh number. His luck is its own thing entirely. Sakura put that feeling to rest right away. She didn't want to think about having Naruto's luck. Ever. Around them the ruins begin to shake and groan, like an earthquake has hit them and hit them hard. Stumbling and catching themselves on the hallway walls, Sasuke steadies Sakura and Amaru as he looks around while feeling a sense of vertigo. There's no way. Neji nods with a sigh. We're ascending. Time to move. Time to move. Both teams raced ahead, Sakura putting Amaru on her back as they prayed they could stop whatever just started. B. Lazily walking along and following the flow of dark chakra he had found, Kakashi saunters his way into a wide and open chamber that's well lit. Idly gazing at the rows upon rows of seals upon the walls and ceiling, Kakashi is quick to figure out that this room itself was a great seal. In front of him is an older man with graying hair wearing dark red and gold robes over blue pants, who is offering his hands up to a pulsing cocoon held aloft by tendrils latched to the ceiling and walls. Huh. Well, that's creepy. Shino turned to see the ninja before him. Frowning at the Konoha headband, he decided it didn't matter. Congratulations on finding me, but you're too late, Konoha scum. Our time is at hand. Ankavantian will rise and the land of sky will once more rule the world as we were meant to. Sighing and coming to a halt before the old man, Kakashi shrugs, old despot looking to rule the world, check. Looking around, he considered what he knew and sighed harder, there wouldn't happen to be a princess around here that needs saving, is there? Ah, that's what you're after. The Uzumaki brat. I don't need her anymore, you can have her if you think you can leave here alive. Yup. Princess needing rescue, check. Groaning and beginning to push up his headband to uncover his eye, Kakashi really hoped Naruto didn't show up out of nowhere. You know, you've just challenged my students, who will be more than happy to rip this place apart one stone at a time if necessary. Looking left and right, Shino finally draws himself up to his full height, and just where are these students? You're all alone here, and I think you'll find yourself very outmatched. Headband up but eye still closed, Kakashi did not want to deal with this, but that shuddering from earlier told him he was now on a time limit. Look, I've got more important things to deal with, like condo prices in a zoo and a girlfriend who's way ready to settle down. So why don't you shut this down, give it up, and we can all go about our lives. Okay. Mentally shifting as his link with the Zero Tails takes hold, Shino frowns as he calls on the body rebirth technique. Hair coming back in as dark brown, muscles beginning to grow and bulge under his clothes, the old man began to gloat. Oh number, I think I'll be ending yours right here and now. Cracking his neck first left and then right, Shino grinned, you should have left when you had the chance. There's nothing for Konoha to plunder here, only death. Kakashi opened his Sharingan eye, slowly and purposefully shifting it to its Mangekyo form. No. Stance lowering a bit as his right hand came up and began to arc lightning between his fingers. Sharingan Kakashi shook his head, I think I need to teach you a lesson. Hand jerking and a full-strength Chidori bursting to life, Kakashi smirked behind his mask. You say there's only death here. My eye sees a lot and right now, it's yours. That will be all for this video, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.